Okay, please say your name.
My name is Justin James.
Okay, and where are you from, Justin?
I'm from Springfield, Massachusetts, about an hour and a half from Boston.
Okay, and what college did you go to?
I went to a state college in western Massachusetts called Westfield State.
Okay, and how long have you been here in Korea, well, total?
Total, I've been here since towards the end of 2009, so pushing over 4 years now.
Okay, and why did you come to Korea in the first place?
I came to Korea, actually I graduated from school and I was working at an Apple store teaching old people how to use the software. The job was okay, but wasn't really sure what I wanted to use my degree for and was having a little bit of difficulty getting a job. I always wanted to travel. It was always a huge desire and dream of mine to travel. So one day I was online searching on one of those like monster.com type websites, and I found a "Hey, come teach in Korea" ad, and actually, to be honest, I thought it was kind of a joke. But then after pursuing it a little bit, I realized it wasn't a joke, and that's basically the beginning of my story.
Okay, and what are some good things about your experience in Korea?
Good things about my experiences in Korea so far. I think I've learned a lot. I've learned a lot about myself, to be honest with you. Just coming out to another country by yourself and kind of living on your own and having to make a completely new circle of friends, and also adapting to a culture that couldn't be more different from Massachusetts or the East Coast of the United States. So that's been a really, really good thing. Also, just learning, teaching experience. I mean, I've learned a lot of experience teaching. When I first came to Korea, I was an awful teacher, absolutely awful. Luckily, the expectations were very low at that point in time. So I've learned a lot about that, and also I've made a lot of really great friends and had a lot of excellent experiences. Definitely stuff. A lot of these things are things I'll look back on when I'm older and be like, hey, that was a lot of fun, for the most part.
Okay. Are there any good things you like about Korean culture, like Korea more specifically?
Oh, okay, yeah. I love the food. Korean culture, they're really, for the most part, pretty polite. What else do I like about Korean culture? That's a hard question. I like a lot of things about Korean culture, to be honest. There's not really too many things I dislike. The friendliness of the people is really good. They can be really helpful. They're not necessarily the most open people, like as far as you're probably not going to have a big group of Korean friends when you first get here. But, I mean, I think for me, when I first came here, I was really like wowed by how different it was. And then I think I had some ups and downs where I was like, okay, I'm kind of getting tired of Korean culture. But now, after being here for 4 years, actually, it feels just like old hat. You know what I mean? Like I really enjoy it. I really enjoy it a lot. I can't really give you specific examples of why I enjoy it, though. That's it's kind of difficult to explain. Like, I like Korean culture for these like 3 reasons. There's not really a specific reason why I like it. I think it's a lot more laid back in some ways than American culture. For instance, if I go out to the bars or if I'm trying to make friends, I'm not worried about anything here. Like I never think things are going to get stolen from me. I never think I'm going to get into a fight for some stupid reason. I guess I just feel more comfortable being social here. Maybe because of the lack of guns or the lack of drugs. I'm not really sure why, but it's just a pretty comfortable place and convenient place to go out and enjoy yourself and meet people and do things that you wouldn't necessarily always try to do or want to do back in America. So, sorry if I couldn't really explain that a little bit better.
You did a great job. What are some difficulties you've had in Korea?
Difficulties, I would say definitely the language barrier. A lot of us set out to learn the language when we first get here, and then, just to be quite frank, a lot of us just straight out get pretty lazy about it.
Yeah.
To be honest, because, we don't really need to know, sorry, I'm losing my voice. We don't really need to know Korean to get by in most places around here, and we end up making these huge groups of foreigner friends, or we get a Korean girlfriend, and they kind of translate everything for us. So my first couple years, I had a Korean girlfriend, and of course she was pushing me to study Korean and everything. And I learned some Korean, and I still know a decent amount, but you know, I don't use it as much as I should. I mean, Korean culture is only Korean culture. We're used to the United States where it's mixed with hundreds of different cultures. So you come here and they're not necessarily as apt to take you into their apartment or try to hang out with you all of the time. Also, I noticed that making friends with a lot of Korean guys was very similar to a relationship with a girl, and it kind of threw me off a little bit. And because of that, I've really only made maybe 4 Korean guy friends the whole time I've been in Korea. But I have actually made a lot of friends with women here, and some of them have been relationships, but others have also just been honest friendships as well. So that's been a little bit difficult, but nothing too serious. And then just miscommunication, cultural miscommunication, like you think someone's being rude to you, but actually they're not. You just didn't understand that in their culture, that's the way they act. And they think the same thing of you. So sometimes you go out and you do something that you think you're being polite, or you think you're doing it the right way, the way you would do it in your own culture, but to them, it can be a little bit rude. So you just kind of need to learn the ropes. The longer you're here, the easier that gets.
Yeah, definitely.
But when you first get here, you're going to make a lot of stupid mistakes. So, I mean, and the great thing about it is there's no harsh reactions, you know. I've never heard about a foreigner getting punched in the face because he said the wrong thing. I've really never heard of any horror stories of foreigners from those kinds of aggressive aspects. It's been more like you will just get like shunned more so than anything where you have to like really worry about it, you know. But I mean, that's the whole point of going to another country, and that's the whole point of learning anyways, is like, if you're not going to make those mistakes, if you're going to be too afraid to make those mistakes, you're never going to learn anything anyways. So I think you just need to come with an open mind.
All right. What do you miss from back home?
The thing I miss the most from back home is one of the top things, at least, is probably Thanksgiving, actually. I really miss the whole family vibe in the fall with the foliage in Thanksgiving and the turkey and the stuffing and all of that. As far as weather, the air's a little bit nicer back home, a little bit cleaner, but it's pretty similar to here, actually, where I live. There's a little bit more humidity in the summer here, and it's a little bit more dry. But the things I miss are mostly just family and a couple holidays. But luckily, we celebrate a lot of those holidays, and as long as you have a decent group of friends here, you can just meet up with your friends and have like a Christmas dinner or have a Thanksgiving dinner if you want to. So it's really not that big of a deal.
Okay. Is there anything that you can't buy out here? Is there anything that you just can't find that you miss from back home?
These days, the things that I can't buy are getting less and less because of the free trade agreement. When I first came here 4 years ago, there were a lot of things you could not buy. Now, it just depends on how far away you want to go. I think the hardest things for me to buy are actually clothes.
Okay.
Not really necessarily based on size, because the sizes are close to comparable to what I wear. It's more so the style. I'm a pretty just conservative guy. I just want to dress like normal. I don't really want to get too flashy or too fashion model-y about anything that I wear. So whenever I go into stores, I have a lot of trouble finding stuff that sort of fits my personality. And then also, I would say another thing that I have trouble getting sometimes is deodorant. Deodorant here, you can buy deodorant, but my specific brand, Old Spice, I never can find. So you can buy deodorant, just when I first got here, you couldn't buy deodorant. It was really hard to find.
Yeah, like, Koreans just don't really use it, I
They
guess.
don't really sweat in their bodies like we do. They sweat in their face, if you notice. Like a kid will run in and his whole head will be drenched and sweating and dripping. But then the rest of their body, I don't think sweats the same way ours does. I could be wrong on that. That could be just some horrible, like... But that's what I've heard. And actually, Korean people have told me that as well.
Okay, what advice do you have for people considering coming to Korea?
For people coming to Korea, I would just say come with an extremely open mind. And, don't have huge expectations about anything. Don't come thinking you know exactly how it's going to be, because, to be honest with you, you don't. None of us did. And if you have that kind of attitude, and you also have the type of attitude where it's like, whatever comes, you'll deal with it and move on from there, then you'll do excellently in Korea. I mean, for the most part, it's a pretty easy working situation. And I just think, like, the people that don't succeed here are the ones who thought it was going to be so much different than what they experienced. See, when I came here, I wasn't really expecting anything specific. I just kind of wanted to get out of Massachusetts and see another country. And I thought, hey, if this doesn't work out, I can always go back to Massachusetts. And, you know, even if I did 3 months in Korea, it was still more than I was going to do in that next year in Massachusetts. So I just think the people that come here and they can't, like, bend their will for anything, they're like, no, I must do this exact way. I'm going to come in here and argue with you about this or that. That kind of attitude doesn't really work with Korean culture. So you have to have a really, like, easygoing attitude. The people that are, like, too straightforward and too, like, I refuse to do that, and banging their gavel on the desk are the ones that, like, tend to get fired or tend to quit because they're just like, I couldn't deal with that. But the thing is like, you're in another culture. You have to realize that, like, you have to be willing to accept this other culture and go with the flow. That's part of life in many, many different situations.
Okay. What are some personality traits of good teachers out here?
Personality traits of good teachers, I would say you have to be diligent, obviously, being on time, preparing, not just walking in drunk or hungover and saying, okay, today I have to do this one page and then I'm going to just play. And honestly, a good teacher, I think you need to care. I mean, teaching doesn't need to be the only thing you're focused on when you're in Korea. And to be straightforward, I don't think I know too many teachers here where this is like the main thing that they do focus on. And if you did, I'm not sure how happy you would be. But at the same token, like, you need to care about your job just like any other job in the world. You know, if you walk into McDonald's and you're throwing burgers in the air and they're landing on the floor, of course you're going to get fired. If you do any job in the world and you just don't care, then, you know, you're going to be out the door. So basically it's just about coming in, doing the best you can, learning as quickly as you can, and being easygoing. I think easygoing is actually a pretty important thing with Korean teachers too, because the way they teach here and the way we're sort of treated as teachers is a little bit different than what I experienced from my teachers in high school and junior high and middle school and the schools back on the East Coast. There's a little bit more leeway because this is a job where we are teaching, but at the exact same time, it's not their actual school for these Hagwon jobs. It's more like an after-school program. So, like, I tend to think of it more of like something like English is important, but it's also important that they have a good time. It's also important that they don't hate every moment of it, because to be honest with you, a lot of these kids' lives are extremely difficult. I mean, they're working 10 times harder than I ever worked in school. I'm sure Corey could say the same thing. They're working 10 times harder than he worked. I have one student who told, well, many students, but one told me the other day, she goes from her regular school, then goes to her math school, then goes to her piano school, then comes to the English school, then goes home, eats dinner, then immediately does her homework, and then goes to bed. And that's like 4 or 5 days a week.
And when she goes to bed, it's what, like 2 a.m.?
Exactly. And this girl is maybe about 11 years old.
Wow.
So, I mean,
never in America.
You have to take into account that we are foreigners, so we really have to put it like we have to give a good influence for the community, you know? Because it's the same as back home. Like, for instance, the stereotype: if one foreigner comes to America and does something horrible, then the rest of the foreigners for like the next 6 or 8 months will be treated slightly worse. And the exact same thing happens here. So you just have to really care and have an easygoing attitude, and so on, so on.
Okay. Any last pieces of advice? Anything else you want to share? Fun stories? Stuff about Korea?
Well, I just think if you've lived here for a while, if you've been here for a year or more, you have a lot of great opportunity to travel not only in Korea, but also around most of Asia. To be honest with you,
and where have you been? Where have you traveled?
I've been here for 4 years. I didn't travel much last year. I've been to China, Thailand, I've been to a bunch of the islands around Korea. I've been to Japan twice. That's just so far. And I've also gone home twice as well. But I'm planning on traveling more. My schedule is a little bit busy at the school this year that I'm at. But you have a lot of... I mean, I have friends who have traveled to literally, like, in a couple years have gone to, like, 10 countries. No exaggeration. I have no idea how they're getting this money to do that. But I'm not joking. I have one friend that was here for 1 year, and she went to 6 different countries in 1 year. I don't know if that was entirely all on the salary that she was making here, but she did it. So, so you definitely have a lot of opportunity to travel, make tons of friends that are different than you, so you can probably grow and learn something in some way or another. And, you know, just be in another culture. I mean, those 3 things put together are pretty enticing. And I'm definitely glad for the opportunity that I've had so far, for sure.
All right, well, thanks for answering my questions, Justin. If you would like to be like Justin and get a job teaching in South Korea, please send your resume to instructasia@gmail.com. Thank you.
Thanks,
Bye-bye.
guys.